Alright, so before we get started today, I have to show y'all something. So, the Kaitlyn I'm reviewing today is different than the Kaitlyn I reviewed during a 12 days of Jillmas, a little short review a few Jillmases ago. The one that I reviewed at a brown vest. Now, I'm colorblind, and I had trouble telling between today's black vest and the other brown vest. I couldn't find the brown vest Kaitlyn anywhere. You know where she is? Check this out. So, as a lot of us collectors have, we have great downfalls. We have great collapses of our collection. And I thought, maybe she fell. Well, going down to my Ant-Man shelf, who's that? Who are we looking at there? Oh my goodness, Kaitlyn. Kaitlyn fell from all the way up there, all the way down to Ant-Man Scott Lang's little territory. So, this is the Kaitlyn I reviewed before. Now, let's get into today's. Hey y'all, welcome to this week's episode of LJV Monday Night Classic Review, where I review a classic women's wrestling figure every single Monday night. Now today, I'm really excited to review this Kaitlyn. I reviewed the other Kaitlyn figure that came out around the same time, but this one I have not reviewed. So we will compare this one to the other Kaitlyn, but Kaitlyn is such a cool superstar who, I want to say she was kind of ahead of her time. She really was a strong, powerful, talented woman, and I'm happy to have her in my collection. So before we get started in today's review, let's send it on over to Secretary Stassi.
Welcome to my Figure Facts, where I share interesting details on the figure at hand and the superstar themselves. Here are some neat tidbits on Basic Series 36 Kaitlyn, released in 2014. This is one of Kaitlyn's 2 figures released. She started her career as a body fitness model. Kaitlyn is a former Divas champion. Now back to Mayor Aaron to the unboxing and review.
Okay, Secretary Stassi did not get the memo. I do not have this figure MOC. Anyway, Mattel WWE Basic Series 36 Kaitlyn, released in 2014. This attire is from the July 29th, 2013 episode of Raw from Laredo, Texas. On this night, Kaitlyn would defeat the Divas champion AJ Lee in a non-title match. Alright, so my first impressions of this Kaitlyn figure, I mean, they're really good. Just like the other Kaitlyn figure, I think she was such a cool superstar, and this figure is so unique and so cool, especially from all the other women's wrestling figures at the time. It's more muscular, it's got much different hair coloration, just an overall different attire, so I think this figure is super, super cool. I'm real excited to take a closer look. So that being said, let's take a look at the face. So this figure came out at a time where it was way before the TrueFX face scan technology that I've really learned to love, because a lot of times if that face scan is printed on the sculpt perfectly, it looks lifelike. Now at this time when they paint it on the faces, some people prefer it. I do not, because a lot of times it looks a little too cartoony, doesn't look as lifelike as the modern women's wrestling figures. Now here, at the time, the face sculpt really meant the world, and I think the face sculpt is a miss here. Now Kaitlyn has a very chiseled, defined jaw, very strong, beautiful look, and they really didn't capture it here in the sculpt, in my opinion. And the paint application, the eyes, eyelashes, eyebrows, it leaves a lot to be desired. Now, do I think this is a horrible likeness? I wouldn't categorize it as that. I've seen definitely worse. I mean, look at Rosa Mendez that we just covered here on a Monday. But yeah, I think this Kaitlyn likeness is okay. We'll go with okay, especially for the time period. But what really stands out is this hair. This hair is so unique, and it looks freaking awesome. She had a very unique hairstyle with hair coloration, and we got that in both of her figures. She has a blonde outer layer and then black kind of showing through there. And it's cool that they have little blonde streaks painted on. Now, I could see this hair, the way that they applied the paint, either being a hate it or love it situation for collectors. Some might say that does not look like what her hair looked like. And some may say, hey, I appreciate the effort. Me, I appreciate the effort. I think it's cool. It really does stand out. And on top of that, the sculpt itself is really cool. We have some bangs kind of over the right side of her face. We have hair going over her shoulders, curled, and on the back we have a lot of curling there. So I am okay. I am okay with the face sculpt and the hair on this figure, but the likeness is a little off. She is jacked, and I love it. I'm here for it. I'm so glad, because Kaitlyn had a very strong, muscular physique. And even in today's Mattel figures, look at Bianca's figures. They have trouble replicating a woman's physique into figure form more often than not. So all the way back in 2014 when this was released, we have some muscles on Kaitlyn. Look at these arms. Look at those pythons. I mean, this figure is awesome, especially posed like this where she's flexing. It looks freaking great. So I absolutely love that. Now, the rest of the body sculpt is also good, but the sculpting on the attire is like a work of art. It really is. So let's take a closer look here. So looking at her unique top design here, it is sculpted on, even going across her torso here where it's sculpted. It looks like her midsection is unique too. See a little bit of a six-pack in there. That's very, very cool. But yeah, so the top is sculpted very uniquely to her. The paint application is all black base with a gold trim, little silver studs, even the zipper's painted silver. The sculpting goes around to the back where even there's little studs painted on the border of the top, and that is so cool. This strap in the back, I'm trying to see, it looks like it's a little bit raised and sculpted, but either way, it's beautiful. We have a gold trim around the attire bottom. We have these black kind of fingerless gloves or tape painted on both hands. We have a belt that's sculpted on that is painted a beautiful silver metallic color, and they're sculpting with the belt loops and even the belt buckles, so this belt's actually really cool. And then her pants are baggy at the bottom, a little tighter up top, but there's a lot of sculpting work and detail that went into these. And the boots are fairly simple, but they look good. So yeah, as far as the body sculpt and the attire, I mean, this Kaitlyn is freaking cool. It really does stand out on a collector's shelf. Now, let's compare this to the other Kaitlyn figure release. All right, so here are the two and only Kaitlyn figures released by WWE. On the left, we have the best of 2013 Women's Basic, and on the right, we obviously have today's Basic Series 36. Now, as to which one I prefer, I actually think the one on the left, as far as the attire goes, it stands out a little bit with the brown vest. I think the brown looks good. Once again, I am colorblind AF, so I had so much trouble distinguishing these two apart from each other. I really had to look closely. But yeah, the one on the left's really cool. I did do a review on this one on a 12 Days of Jillmas episode years ago on the channel, so go look that up. Now, another thing that stands out that is different is the face, and let's look up close at that. So, as you can see, the face sculpt appears to be the same, but the eyes on this Best of 2013 one on the left are a green, but she almost looks like an Edward Cullen, like she's in the Cullen family, like she's a vampire or something. I don't know about that. Now, I get it, like, to try to make it more lifelike, but I think I prefer, I much prefer the face on this one we're reviewing today. So, yeah, I think they're both really cool and really unique, and they're both strong and powerful figures, and I think they're freaking awesome. I really do. Now, let's get into articulation. All right, so now let's cover articulation. I've said this before. These early Mattel Women's Basics were amazing, not just in detail in the attire, but the articulation was like elite-style articulation. They were pretty much like elites in basic packaging, and this figure's no different. We have great articulation here, and as I covered the detail in the attire, it's stunning. So the head doesn't really move at all because of hair sculpt. Shoulders and a ball joint can move in all different directions. These pythons can rotate. Upper bicep swivel. We have just a single jointed elbow there. Can move about 90 degrees. Looks like she's holding a loaf of bread or something, or a baby. We have upper torso swivel, which doesn't move too well because of the sculpting on her midsection, but that's okay. Her hip is on a ball joint, can move in all different directions. Actually feels like it's really loose, like it's about to break or something. Upper thigh swivel there. Single jointed knee. We have a boot swivel, and then the foot can plantar flex up, or plantar flex down, and dorsiflex up. So just a reminder, in these classic figure reviews, I'm not going to give these women's figures scores because I don't think it's fair. I mean, at the time when this came out, this might have been a 10 out of 10, but in today's world, it just isn't. So it's hard to justify scoring an older figure with all the new women's figures in mind. I don't think it's fair to the figures. So instead, what we're going to do in this segment is I'm going to give you the last sold eBay pricings, both loose and MOC, and I'll let you know whether I think that's a fair price, and overall if I think you should add this figure to your collection. Now, as far as eBay sold pricings, okay, Basic Series 36 Kaitlyn, the last loose one went for $19.99 shipped, and MOC was $15 plus $11, so $26 shipped. Those are excellent prices, especially for this figure. So I think the prices are there. Thumbs up. Now, do I think you should add this Kaitlyn to your collection? It depends. Here's what I'm going to say. If you're a women's wrestling figure collector at all, you need to have a Kaitlyn in your collection. Now, whether it's this Kaitlyn or the best of 2013 Kaitlyn, which is very similar to this one, will all be up to you. Go and watch that review. It's a 12 Days of Jomas episode where I reviewed that best of 2013 Kaitlyn. But either this one or the other one, I definitely think you should add to your collection. It all depends on which one's attire you like better. So I 1000% think you need to add a Kaitlyn to your wrestling figure collection because it does stand out. It's beautifully sculpted like an elite. I love that she's muscular, and it's just a cool, unique figure. So I really, really love it. And whether it's this one or the other Kaitlyn, you need to add one to your collection. Now, with that being said, thank you for watching this week's episode of LJV Monday Night Classic Review, where every Monday night I review a classic women's wrestling figure. I'll see y'all next Monday. Thanks for watching, and have a great night, y'all.